is Albert Ligori. Yeah, no, I'm getting on stage right now. The cloud presentation. It's not ready? What do you mean it's not ready? I got a whole bunch of people here. It's in the cloud. All right, I hope these guys know how to get it. Oh, it seems it's up here. Okay. Okay. Whew. Well, let's hope this goes smoothly. You know, when they asked me to give this presentation, I told them, I'm busy. I'm in my office. My clients know I'm in my office all the time. And in case the audio was not clear, I got a call from a client there asking about e-commerce and about cloud computing. And we're going to walk through a couple of quick scenarios here and show you what it's like from our side and how busy all of us are in the office all the time. And normally I would expect some kind of dramatic Law and Order type music here, but I'm going to wing it without it. Oh, thank you. There you go. So helping me today in this presentation is Gwen Lai from New York, Frank Lenas from Paris, Randy Miller from our business consulting practice here in New York, Bobby Parikh, KW Leon from Singapore, and Bobby's from Mumbai, Richard Baxter from London, Keith O'Donnell from Luxembourg, and Cleona Donnelly from Ireland. And I think you're going to find these are all very good sports for what I'm about to do to them here. You know, I'm an East Coast guy, and up until about 3 years ago, I didn't do anything with regard to the web or the cloud. I'm very fortunate, though, to be working with a bunch of colleagues on the West Coast and with many folks overseas who've been in the high-tech side of the business for a long time that I call on for leverage. But as you will see here, I'm kind of making my way through an unfamiliar fact pattern. I'll tell you, in the last 3 years, though, this is 80% of what we've been doing on the East Coast as well. This is coming at us like a freight train. There's nothing we can do about it.
Al, let me get this straight. The client has customers in France. They are buying the client's hardware, in this case a new e-reader, from home through a website. The client has no brick-and-mortar stores in France, or anywhere for that fact, and 100% of the sales occur through the web store. The customer is legally contracting with the client's Singapore subsidiary to buy the e-reader. Singapore owns the rights to run the client's web business and to distribute the e-reader. Singapore owns software that runs the web store and has it installed on servers located in India. Singapore owns the servers in India and keeps them in leased space. The client has procurement/distribution center located in France. Is that correct?
You got it. So what Randy's really telling us here is that from an operational perspective, he says when he oversaw a procurement center in Europe for a big US company, he noticed that every procurement center was separately legally incorporated. And although that's not tax advice, we had a feeling that that was what he was insinuating. So we had to make a few phone calls, particularly to the French and to the Indian guys, to say, hey, is this, we know this is what Randy's telling us other companies do, but is this really what's going on?
Al, Randy says we had better call the French and Indian guys. We are several hours behind, but they are generally very responsive. I'll set up calls ASAP.
All right, so we're going to call France first and find out what they have to say.
Hello, Al. This is Frank. I've been through your slide again, and from what you've been explaining to me, I understand that your client could be considered as having a permanent establishment.
So why did we call Frank? You know, we've got this e-commerce platform, and it's confusing to us. We think of the web and the cloud, and we don't know where does it put its foot down. Is it where the customer is? Is it where the servers are? Is it where the software writers are? And we don't know. The tax laws around the world have not caught up to this business model, as you've been hearing from other panelists today. So we got to call each country and we got to find out. And what we're concerned about with France here is we only have a customer who's buying stuff on a laptop, and then we've got a distribution center that's being put in place in France. So we're asking Frank, tell us, where did we cross the line and pull the profits of this e-commerce platform into France? What can we not do in the distribution center? We just heard from Randy Miller that he knows that each entity is legally incorporated on some other big companies. So, and Frank tells us, yeah, that's a great idea. And he said, but you know, the most important thing is to not advertise, to not have that enterprise advertise, and don't get involved in after-sale processing. Those are the types of events that could lead to some further issues. So this is the kind of advice we would feed back to the company. Incorporate this distribution center separately to prevent the leakage to other parts of the company structure and to avoid these extra services. And here's the theme that you'll hear throughout, transfer pricing. What Frank tells us is, as long as we properly transfer price, a cost plus for what's going on in France, most of the risks that we face come down. They don't go away entirely as a result of that, but they come down. So that then leaves us with the next question, the next part of the e-commerce platform. What's going on in India, the servers? And you know, I made some silly assumptions up front that much like in the US, where we put the servers is not really that relevant. And then we talked to Bobby Parikh in Mumbai and got a really strange answer.
Al, I did receive your power. Under Indian tax law and based on published rulings, a server owned by a foreign company would be regarded as constituting a PE of the foreign company in India. The fact that there may be no human involvement in India beyond the location of the servers in India may not in itself be relevant. Your PowerPoint suggests that the Singapore company...
This is scary to me. Just the servers sitting in India cause us to have a permanent establishment in India.
From an Indian exchange control perspective, the Singapore company would... If the Singapore company has a PE in India, profits attributable to the PE will be liable to tax in India. Such profits will need to be determined.
And what Bobby goes on to tell us is that once you determine that you have a PE, yeah, the lion's share of experiences he's had is that only the services component of the servers is a taxable profit piece in India. However, there is the ability for the government of India to argue that the sale of the e-reader in our context is taxable as well in India. There's not a lot of published precedents on whether the Indian tax authorities are taking this approach, but it is possible under the law. And that's kind of frightening based on the supply chain that we've got laid out.
The sale of the e-reader in France, we would recommend that the Singapore company consider establishing an Indian subsidiary rather than operating through a branch. The servers would then be acquired by the Indian subsidiary.
One of the points that Bobby's making to us is just to point out the uniqueness of the Indian tax system here is that the OECD has declared that a website is not a PE. And then the Indian tax authorities have come out and said, well, no, we don't necessarily agree with that. And so that's an example of why this structure started to make me a little nervous.